Thanks a lot for coming down. I really appreciate it. First, I'm going to start by telling some of you might not know who I am. I started my jiu-jitsu career in 2008 after my modelling one wasn't quite taken off, and can you believe that? I know. And I started 2008 because I wanted to learn how to defend myself in any kind of street situation or whatnot. I was playing Aussie rules football at that time. It's different to the soft stuff you guys have got here. What's that called? NRL or rugby? No. And I was getting beaten up by a lot of the older footballers. They were starting to beat me up a little bit, and I wanted to protect myself. So I got into jiu-jitsu, and I think we're doing a bit more MMA and stuff, and I did my first session of jiu-jitsu against this guy, and I thought, you know, I'm a pretty strong, athletic footballer. I'm going to be able to smash this guy. He was just a beginning blue belt, and he destroyed me, like absolutely annihilated me. So straight up, I just had this love for this and this passion for this jiu-jitsu. I wanted to learn more about it. And then not long after, I went to watch a competition, and I never knew what a competition of jiu-jitsu was. I watched one, and my friend was competing in the white belt division, and me and him were fairly even. I just started getting the better of him in training, and I saw him win the whole white belt competition, all 4 divisions, and I was sitting there thinking, wow, that was meant to be me, but I wasn't out there. That's what I thought, but I kind of made me want to compete. So not long after I started competing, I competed as a blue belt. My first Australian Federation Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Championship, I competed as a blue belt. I won all my matches, and I had to forfeit the final because I had to take off to play football again, where we got beaten by 10 goals in the rain, which is a stupid decision. And then I went on and I kept competing. I ended up going through the belt system fairly quickly. I went purple belt the next year, brown belt the year after that, and then about a year and 2 months after that I went to black belt, which ended up being about 4.5 years or a little bit less. So I had a pretty quick transition from white to black through jiu-jitsu. And we're always trying to figure out, you know, what was I doing that made me excel so much? You know, okay, I'm athletic, I'm strong or whatnot, and I'm determined, but there's a lot of athletically and strong, determined people that don't excel that quick. You know, you've seen strong guys come in and they don't do so well a lot of the times. And being strong can also be like it can be a negative for you as well, because you start relying on the strength and you start losing the technique. So we're always trying to figure that out. And then we had a look at the method I was learning, because I was learning a lot different to what most people were learning. Most people at that time would go to a class, the instructor would teach 3 or 4 techniques, you would practice it over and over again, and then you'd do a little bit of free rolling at the end, and that'd be a class, like roughly. Well, I never liked to come to the techniques. I actually got fairly bored watching the techniques. So I used to be a bad student, so I'd sort of sit there and I'd sort of time, and I'd come a little bit late, and oh, the technique's finished, can I jump on for the rolling? And I would just roll and roll, and that's the way I like to do it, because I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu and I just wanted to have fun and play around with it. But it ended up like working really well in my favor, not because I wasn't listening to an instructor, it was because I was coming up with my own method of learning. I was experimenting and playing around, and I started coming up with my own moves. And I had a look at like the way people are learning now. It's like the age-old industrial age education system, where you learn a technique, you drill it over and over and over again until it becomes muscle memory, and then you apply it during free rolling. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, but I prefer this way because it's a lot better for me as a more artistic sort of person. I want to sort of express myself artistically. I don't really want to copy what other people do. What you do is better for you than what it's going to be for me. You know, I'm never going to do what you do better than what you do. Okay, and that's for everyone. So I wanted to learn like how to make stuff up work for myself. So for today's seminar, what I'm going to work on, we're going to look at guard passing, because I love guard passing. It's one of the most common areas of jiu-jitsu, especially if you've got good takedowns. You want to learn how to guard pass, and you know, obviously guard and guard passing, you spend probably 75% of your time in competition jiu-jitsu in that area. So we're going to look at guard passing, and the first thing I want to talk about, like the way I teach, is very concept driven. I'm not going to come here and teach you, you know, my 5 favorite techniques to do and then get you to practice it and take it home. You can find that kind of stuff on the internet. There's thousands of techniques out there. What I want to give you is the tools for you to develop your own guard passes, for you to develop your own method of passing, so you never feel stuck. So no matter what position you're in, you have a solution. And I want to get you guys better at problem solving, okay? So a lot of people, jiu-jitsu it's 10% physical, 90% mental. So I don't want to get you guys spending 90% on the physical side and only 10% on the mental side. I want to get you spending 90% on the mental side and 10% on the physical side. So what I want you guys to to develop is a really quick processor, okay? I want to get you guys to develop the ability to process information and to problem solve your way through any situation. That way, when you're in competition or you're rolling, you don't sit there and feel stuck like, oh, what have I learned from here? I don't know a guard pass. You can sit there, you can look at the situation, you can use the formula I'm going to teach you, and you're going to come up with your own solution, execute it, and then evaluate how you went with that, and start learning by experiential learning, okay? So, guard passing. Can I borrow you for this? By the way, anytime you guys have any question, I want you to ask me. This works so much easier for me if you guys ask as many questions as you can. That way I give you exactly what you guys want rather than me just blurbing on, okay? And if there's something you don't understand, please stop me and I'll articulate that a little bit better. Okay, guard passing. So I'll get you on the guard for a second. Just this way, face this way for me so I can talk to everyone. Okay, guard passing. Now, how many of you guys know some guard passes? I hope a few of us do. You know some guard passes, okay. Now, there's about, in technique-wise, there's hundreds of guard passes. You know, everyone uses different guard passes and everyone uses slightly different variations of different guard passes. But the best thing about guard passes is every single guard pass there is only is run or governed by 3 different principles. If you do these 3 principles, you can come up with your own guard pass in any situation, doesn't matter what position. So let's say I'm in a situation, any kind of thing. Okay, we're here, and he's grabbed me here. I want to pass the legs. Okay, so what do I do? Maybe I push this leg in here, I switch over here, and I pass the legs. Okay, so I've got the first thing done. What's the next thing I want to do? I want to close the distance here, okay? Because if I pass the legs and he keeps me pushed out here, and I go around and pass, and he just gets his legs back in, and I'm back in the same spot again, okay? And not only am I back in the same spot, but I've just telegraphed exactly what I'm going to do. So now he knows that move, and I'm probably not going to get that again, at least not without a lot of force. So once again, I go past the legs. Now I want to close the distance. So maybe I grab a hold of him and I pull myself into him now. So now I've got chest to chest, I've closed the distance, and he can't push me off. Okay, so I'm sitting here. What's the next thing I need to do? I just need to make sure he doesn't roll away. I've got to consolidate. In competition jiu-jitsu, you've got to hold him for 3 seconds. If you're competing in Brazil and you're Australian, you've got to hold him for 25 seconds. I learned the hard way, okay? I was in a video, I got him there for 9 seconds and they didn't give me it. It's like, just advantage. So I consolidate, I get it here and I hold him here, and that's a guard pass, okay? I'll show you again from a different position. Let's say a butterfly guard, and just do here or something. So I'm here. So what I'm gonna do this time, I'm gonna long step off his legs. So I'm just stepping off his legs, I'm closing the distance again, and now he's going to try and roll, of course. So I don't want this to happen, okay? If he rolls the other way, I don't want it to happen. I can try and take his back, but I don't want it to happen. I want to get the guard pass, okay? So I hold him here, and I pin him, and I take it again. Just on that too, make sure that whenever you're practicing, you're as loose and relaxed as you can be. If you're being real rigid and stuff, it's not going to serve you any purpose at all. It's going to make you rigid, and it's going to make it hard for the other person to train with. I used to train with a guy in New York, and he was like drilling with a bag of hammers. That's what I used to say when I was at Golvols, because he'd just be like so strong all the time. Try and be relaxed as you can. In jiu-jitsu, there's very, very few times do you need to use all your strength. You know what I mean? For grip fighting, for everything. You get the grip, and you relax. You relax. It's only like very rarely someone tries to break it that you need to be strong. So the less you use your strength, the better it is. Okay? You're going to last a lot longer, and you're going to develop proper technique. I never encourage people to force things on. If you're forcing something on, they know you did it and your timing's all off, okay? Who wants to demonstrate a guard pass using those fundamentals for me? No one does, eh? You're gonna make me choose? Do you wanna? Okay, good. Do it here if we can.
Okay, drawing the legs. Pass.
Nice. Very good. That's it. That's exactly what it is. It's very simple. It really is. It's not rocket science. It's just 3 simple things. Most of you probably already know that. But one of the most important things about this is the order in which you do it. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example. A lot of people, what's the first thing you think of when you're trying to pass this guard? pass the legs. And everyone say pass the legs, probably the first thing you think of. Yep. But it would have been weird if I told you that's probably the last thing I think about doing, is pass the legs. I hope it's weird, because it would have been weird to me as well. But the reason why is, it's actually quite easy to pass the legs. It's not too hard. No matter who they are, you can pass the legs. The hardest part is actually closing the distance on someone. How many times have you like passed the legs on someone and you try and run around and just keep pushing you off and they recover and recover and recover? This happens most of the time. Most jiu-jitsu competitions, the exact same thing happens. What I mean by that is the first thing I'm doing is concentrating on passing the legs. So I'm here, I'm looking to try and pass the legs. And I go around here and he's pushing me off, and I try and consolidate and he pushes me off again, and he gets the legs back in. This happens over and over again. Okay? Because it's actually, like I said, it's really easy to pass the legs. But what's hard is to close a different distance afterwards.
Especially with really flexible people, like who knows who Keenan Cornelius is? Okay, he's got super flexible legs. His knees could touch his shoulders if he wants. I competed against him as world brown belts. It's the first fight at the world championship in brown belts. And I couldn't figure out, why can't I pass this guard? I'm moving his legs and everything, but I just could never separate both of his knees from his chest. The whole time he was so smart he would either have them both here with his own hands, holding them here, so it was so hard for me to pull him apart, or he would let one go and the other one would always be there. So even when I did pass here, it was always stuck there. And if you've got your knees to your chest, no one's ever gonna pass you, ever. If his knees to his chest like this, and he's not the most flexible guy by any means, but if his knees are here, I'm trying to pass and they're in the way, I would never pass. He's always gonna push me off. So for me to pass, I have to create space between his knees and his chest. Does that make sense? So this is the most difficult part, okay? Not so much separating the knees from his chest, but consolidating, getting close to him. Because guys with good guards will keep pushing you off. I'll do it as well, like I'll play my guard, I won't even care where my legs are. My legs will be working like 3%, but my arms will be doing everything. All I'm doing is making sure he doesn't get grips on my body, or doesn't like get over-unders on me. So what I do when I guard pass, which really confuses a lot of people, is I look at setting up the consolidation part before I pass the legs. Why do you think I would do that? It's a mental thing.
To play with their mind.
To play their mind, but because what are they most likely concentrating on when I'm passing? Their legs. They're so worried about their legs not getting passed that they don't think about the consolidation part. Because in their mind, they're wrong, but in their mind they're thinking, it doesn't matter, if they can't pass the legs, he can't do anything anyway. I just need to make sure he can't pass the legs. But I know the legs are easy to pass, so what I do the most difficult part right now because he's not thinking about it. Because he's relaxed. It's like punching someone when they're not looking at you. You know what I mean? Don't ever do that. Scott does that stuff. No, but for example, in this situation here, his legs are here and he's in the butterfly guard, and I play here. I don't even care about his legs right now. I'm gonna make sure he's not gonna sweep me, put me in a bad position, but I'm not thinking about passing yet. What am I thinking about doing? Getting this, okay? Because then I'm expecting, I can hold this, he's never gonna get me off. I've got to make sure he doesn't sweep me with his legs, of course, but I'm going to start working and passing my legs now. So to get this is easy, right? So I'm sitting here, let's say you're working your guard and stuff like this. There we go, I've got it already. I've got the over-under. Okay, see how easy it was while his legs are there? And this is with almost everybody. Now, if we were in a position, right? Let's say I got the knee cut position here, and I'm almost past now. He feels that I'm about to pass his legs. So he's threatened. So what does his mindset start switching to? Here, he starts protecting himself. He's like, no, don't give him an underhook, because he knows he can feel I can pass. So the last thing I actually want to do is threaten his legs while I'm trying to set this up still. I'm going to go back here. So now his legs feel fine, and what does he do? He relaxes, opens up again. He starts making some kind of grips, and now I get good grips here again. I know I can pass these easy, so I want to set this up first. Okay, so for example, we might be here, right? And I get this, and I look around like I've got no options. I know how to pass his legs, but I'm trying to set this up tighter and tighter. Okay, and the moment where I feel like I've got this really tight, that's when I'm gonna start passing. Let's say I get this, I punch this across here, and then I drop my knee, and I start passing. Because I know for him to push me off now is near impossible because I've set this up tight already. And I'm pretty sure everyone is stronger pulling like that than what they are pushing. Doesn't matter, I've had guys, strong guys like that, and if I can get a hold of them, I'll always collapse their arms. And once their arms are half collapsed, they lose all strength. People are strong at this point, but once it gets about here, boom, they're gone. There's no strength for them to pull it back. So if you can consolidate a position before passing, like I did here, like here and here, even if his arm's in here, like that, he can't push me off. Try and push me off. You can't. See, I'm stuck to him. So I use my balance and I keep doing that, but eventually I pass. And that's what you'll see me do. You'll see me, I'll consolidate the position that I'm sticking to him, and then I just start playing around trying to get my legs out. Like I said before, of course you gotta be careful. Like if I didn't use my head to balance, I would have got swept then, or my legs. I'm not saying don't balance. What I'm saying is consolidate that. Close that distance first so they can't push you off. Then start working on how to, escape your legs while not getting swept. Does that make sense? So I want you now to go grab a partner and do that. I want you to look at the guard passes, consolidate, then pass. If it's too much information and you don't know how to make this up, just go to this one here. Go to the butterfly guard here, play on here, get the over and under, drop it to the whatever side it is, and just keep trying to shake your leg out and pass. But keep your balance nice and keep yourself attached to him. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go practice that. Okay guys, listen up for 1 second please. I want you to do the same thing now, but I want you to, if you're an advanced practitioner and you've got your own guard passes, I want you to use the guard passes you know, and I want you to identify the fundamental things, the 3 concepts I just taught you about, the 3 fundamentals, okay? I want you to identify them because I'm going to ask you when you come back in. So I want you guys to have some answers. For the beginners, it's all right, just keep practicing. If you know any, you can try and identify it as well. Otherwise, keep playing. We're going to come in, we're going to grow from that, okay? Good. That's good, it's good. So that's right, just be patient with it. And also, when you got the 1 underhook or 2 underhooks, make sure you open your elbows up as much as you can without them being able to escape. Yeah. Because if I'm holding someone here and my arms are stuck like that, it's very easy for me to get pushed this way. See what I mean? So if she can get any kind of leverage and flick you one way, you might get swept. Or you might have to quickly open up and then she gets the underhook back. So when you have these underhooks, try and open these elbows as much as you can. So now look how far I can go, a lot further. So you just got to be mindful of that. Yes, which I'm going to explain in a second of that, but that's basically what you're doing. Who practiced passing from butterfly guard like that? Did everyone try that? Good. What I want to elaborate a little bit more on that. Can I borrow you, please? What a few of you might have had problems with was you got this under over and you leaned forward and he took you to this side here, which is very bad for me. Why is it bad for me? Yes, I can't post. I've lost my post. So what do I need to make sure when I get this underhook and overhook? What do I have to make sure now? I gotta have my weight over this side. So I know this. Because remember, he's concentrating on my legs, or his legs, while I'm setting that up. So we're not just concentrating on getting this, we're also driving it this way. I don't mind if I fall this side. I can sit here for a long time pretty comfortably. I've got his arm under here, trapped, so for him to try and even come up, he's gonna have to do a lot. Even if he tried to kick that off. I can sit here, I wait until the leg comes out. I'm always patient. Why do you think I'm patient with that? Because he's using more energy than me. It requires more energy for him to keep his hooks holding on to me than what it does for me just to sit my weight dead there. I've already got close to him, that was the hard part. So I hold that. So make sure that, and this works in many different situations. When you do hold yourself close to them, you're always going to give them one element of control. Because for most sweeps, what are they trying to do? Take away your post as well. But they've always got to have some kind of leverage some way. So make sure when you get that underhook, you make sure your weight doesn't go that way. Does that make sense? Okay. What I'm going to look at now is, actually I'll go a bit further with that while we're here. So I get this over and under here. I don't always want to just be limited to him going back and me trying to hop up his legs with my, like we're doing here. I don't always want to do this because it can be difficult. Maybe he's got really small legs and I'm a taller person, so it's harder for me to step off his legs because he can control the close distance better than me. So what might be a better option? Kicking out or stopping him from rolling back entirely. Sometimes what I do is I'll step up onto this foot here. Can anyone see what I'm doing here with this foot? I'll turn it around. I'll just show you, stay there, stay there. So I'm basically here. So instead of going back onto him, what I do is I bring this foot up here. And what does that give me? It gives me leverage to pull back. If he can't roll back, how's he going to sweep me with that sweep? He won't be able to. Not only will he not be able to, it'll be easy for me to kick myself that way or to stand up. To stand up, to knee cut, to do a whole lot of different passes. There's so many more passes with me here than what there is me here. With my knees on the ground, I'm limited to my knees. It's like trying to walk around. If I was trying to walk around my knees, I can't do a hell of a lot. But if I'm on my toes, I can move my knees, I can do a lot. I can flick around, I can move quicker, I can hop, I can do flips, whatever you want to do. So what I like to do myself is as soon as I get this, I bring this leg up here. Okay, he can grab my leg, of course, but I've got this underhook here. He's not going to do much with that now. But I've got leverage to pop up now. Now what I'll do is, I'm going to turn around so you and the camera can see. What I like to do from here, so I get this, first thing I do is I bring this leg up here. Then I put this knee in between his legs. Now I've gotten rid of one of his hooks already, which is the dangerous hook usually for me to step off. Now it's easy for me to go around here. Now I can hop up and do the same thing. I can fall over this way and just knee cut through there. So I want to get you guys good at going to your feet as well. And you don't just have to be like that. For example, it doesn't have to be an over-under. It could be these grips here that are hard to get. You know what I mean? If I pop around here, if he can't pull me off, I can get a knee ride. So a good thing to do when I'm here is I grab his lapels here and I pull down. So if he tries to fall back now, he can't. See what I mean? If he can't fall back, he loses all leverage in his legs. Okay, because I'm pulling him to him. So I hold him down like that. What I might do is I might put my hand on his knee here. As he goes to fall back now, I let it go. And I pass. Because I'm already stuck here. So I don't want you guys to limit yourself to just practicing the over-under with your knees. Get used to standing up. That's pretty much what I do a lot of the time. No matter what kind of guard he's got, I'll be here, moving around, I get this here. I'm keeping it, I'm still pulling him here. So I've got this, and I keep getting it tighter and tighter. There we go, see I got this now. But I've already got my leg free. So he keeps going, I get a hold of this, and there it comes again. Like I said, it's easy for me to untangle my legs, but it's hard for me to get that after I've done that. Does that make sense? So we're gonna look at the balance now. One of the most important fundamentals for jiu-jitsu is balance, right? So we want to look at what are the three fundamentals to good balance in jiu-jitsu. There's three things that I can do to anyone, no matter who they are, that they'll never sweep me if I do. What would be the first one? My post. So for example, he has this position and he maybe has it a little bit loose. He goes to sweep me this way, I post. Okay? That's like the first thing, right? He goes the other way, whatever, I post. He has this arm, he goes that way, I post with my leg. He goes back, I post with my head. So I use a post first, no matter what it is. You see guys in judo use their heads or wrestling nearly snap their necks, but they use that not to get taken down. So use your posts. What's the next thing? Let's say he's taken this post away and I can't. What can I do to stop that from happening? I have to fix my posture. I go to here, okay? If he's got my post, You know, if I'm lost a post, I want to make sure he doesn't have my posture. So I lean back here. Now try and pull back. He can't. But if I'm up here, he's got my posture. When I say he's got my posture, it just means he's controlling my weight. If he's controlling my weight, I'm in trouble. Do you know how to do hip throws?
Hip throws, standing up.
Yeah.
I'm not keen on it.
That's all right. But a hip throw is the exact same thing. If I'm here and he's bending over and I get under his weight, here, it's easy for me to pick him up and throw him because I'm controlling his weight. I've got his leverage. If he bumps his hips forward, boom, I got nothing. The exact same principle on the ground. If we're here and he's trying to sweep me anyway, and I keep my weight further back here, he can't take me. Try and take me that way. He can't because my weight's back here. So if I have those two, which are the two most important things, he's not going to sweep me. The other one's leverage. I got to make sure that he doesn't have a leverage point as well. You don't have to cover all three. As long as I've covered two of those, or at least got one, definitely, he's not going to sweep me. The other one's leverage. For example, if I want to take my weight here and have my post, but see the leverage here is in his legs. Without that, he's not going to sweep me. Try and sweep me without those legs. It's weird, isn't it? It's a different movie. So, if he has a situation like that, try and kill the leverage. Sometimes that requires holding him in here so he can't open up. Because if I pinch his legs together, I've taken his leverage. I'll tell you why. For someone to use this hook here, I need to generate leverage from the ground, don't I? So if I've got him here and I'm taking his post, the leverage for this, where's this coming from? My bottom foot. So I use this, I push my bottom foot against the ground to pick him up, okay? I use that all the time. But if he squeezes his legs together, I can't separate my feet. I can't use the leverage like that. I've only got one other option. What's that? So generate leverage by swinging back. So what I do is I swing myself back and I use the leverage going back to whoop. Then I can pick him up. So his next thing would be holding me to him. If he holds my legs, my shoulders to my knees or whatever, any way he wants to, I can't roll back. Even if I could roll back, he's going to jump off me. So I lose my leverage. That's the least important of your worries. That's only when they've taken both your posts and they've got your weight, then you go to leverage. But the most important thing is always having a post. Who knows who Leandro Lo is?
No.
Okay, he's one of the best guard passers by a mile. And the best thing he does is just post all the time. They call it, once he started doing it, they called it active posting. So whenever you try and sweep me anyway, he's like this all the time. He's always got such a wide base. He's so hard to sweep because he's always basing right out. His ability to stop people from locking him up is unbelievable. People try and lock him up and he's swimming his arms out all the time. So that's the first thing I want you guys to do. Always have a post. If for some reason you lose those posts, keep your weight back. You can do it many different ways. I usually like just to back my weight up here. And then if I lose both of that, then I want to take his feet away. Does that make sense? It can be a little bit much for some of the younger ones and stuff or the beginners, but for the more advanced, it probably applies a lot more to you. But I want you guys to go out there. The guy underneath is just kind of try and sweep you a little bit, okay? Just move you around. All I want you to do on top is base out. Once you feel comfortable with that, let them have some of your posts and try and move your weight so they don't have that leverage. Does that make sense? Okay? Grab a partner and let's do that. I'll come around and help you. He's going good with that? Yeah. So that's the whole thing is like just the guard passing is you always want to have your arms clear. You never want them to lock your arms up. So every time they're trying to take you, you've got to be able to balance. Just like in judo when they go to take you down, you know, you like stop from going that way, you flip over. Exact same thing with guard passing. So you always want to have good balance. Yeah, definitely.
So it's changed the way I do. I don't. Now as soon as I connect with someone, I attack posture.
Yeah, good,
If that
good.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, same as probably what you think, if we're going on your lines is, I attack posture, see where I end up, and then go, well, I think post second.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean, where's
yeah.
their post?
Yeah.
And as soon as I got hold of that, well, I'm working that way.
Good, good. So
If that makes sense.
that's exactly. So what you start doing afterwards is you start like, I know this is always what controls the weight from this position.
Yep.
So I know I got this for the weight. It's so easy to grab. So what I look at is I look at getting that, but I don't try and attack it because I know you're going to probably try and attack it anyway. So you start doing what you do, and then I grab it. But I don't grab it tight. I just grab it lightly.
Yep.
If I grab it tight, you start panicking. You start thinking about it. So what I do is I go this, and we keep going. So you just keep moving around for the moment, and I just wait, and I wait, and I wait, and now I can go for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know now if I pull you over,
Yeah.
I can take that sweep here.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I do it in a fashion that I know that this is going to take that post this way,
Yep.
and this is going to have your weight. And I'm just going to do it in a way you just forget about these legs. So let you start moving around, I wait, there it is, boom, go for it. But I'm relaxed as I can doing it. So when I'm here, I go bang straight away on this, I'm just relaxed. And you can even have your grip here. I'll just use this to stop. Even go that way, I'll just go this way. And I'll just block it. So I'll try not to, you can keep trying to play around. I'll sort of move around, I'm waiting, playing around. And then suddenly, I'll go, oh, I might go this way.
I find what you did there, I find that a lot now that a lot of the hooking sweeps now become reverse hooking sweeps. Where before,
Yes.
I used to do much reverse hooking sweeps.
Yeah.
Now it's all.
I used to do it all the time because you know what people do all the time? They go this leg and squish me on this side. And I'd be like, oh, so what I do is I pretend like I had nothing, but I'm secretly getting ready to hold that. So what I try and come up and they always grab hold of it. And then what I do is I wait and I fall back here. I kick this leg up, flick that off, come up.
Yeah.
How are we going with that? This stuff, the thing is, I'm throwing a lot of concepts out there and a lot of ideas. You're not going to soak them up today. It's not going to turn you into a world beater tomorrow. Actually, usually it'll take you a little bit backwards because you've got to rechange the way you're thinking. But what happens is you internalize these, which you guys are going to have free access to the videos once they're done anyway. You internalize them in your head, you get used to them. Then what happens is it becomes second nature. Your body just naturally does these things. My body does these things. I don't even think about it. I start thinking about like psychological warfare. I'm thinking about confusing him why my body does this already. So as well as techniques become muscle memory, so do these ideas and concepts, and you start flowing. But at the moment, it's going to be a lot of information. You're probably like, oh, I'm not really sure what he means like that. It's vague, but just keep it here, it'll click. And then you'll be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Everything you see in jiu-jitsu, in the guard passing, everything, all the techniques is governed by these laws. These are universal laws. Unfortunately, we're just taught in techniques, so we don't ever get taught the laws, so the laws become confusing. Same as like a formula in maths become confusing, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to give you guys the formula, but you gotta internalize that becomes muscle memory, and then everything becomes easy. That's why I don't need to think when I'm rolling, it just happens. Okay, cool, play around, do different stuff all the time. It's more enjoyable. I know at the moment it can be a little bit confusing. There's a lot of information, and it's a little bit different than probably what you see at most schools. Because what I'm doing is I'm giving you the laws that govern every technique in guard passing. I'm giving the fundamentals that don't change. These are forever, okay? Every single technique you see is governed by these laws. But it can be a little bit confusing to try and internalize these concepts, especially when I've given you 3 sets of 3 concepts. And I understand that. I don't expect anyone to go away from here and actually be better through rolling. What I expect is you to change the way you're thinking, to look at jiu-jitsu differently, to look through the techniques, okay? To start seeing what you call like seeing through the matrix of it. Once you start seeing through that, everything becomes a lot easier. Because like muscle memory, the same thing happens here. You internalize that till it becomes muscle memory. Till I don't need to think about that. At the moment, you're like, okay, posting, posture, leverage, okay, which one's that? Eventually it becomes second nature. That just happens. Okay, so does passing. You understand the 3 things to pass. You know, you pass the legs, you close the distance, and you consolidate. You don't need to think about that, it just happens. So everyone that is here is going to have access to the videos online, and you'll be able to see it and watch it over again till it does stick. So that's what I want, is I want you guys to go from here, internalize that, and then start creating your own art. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Good, that means no one's understanding. No, okay. We're gonna go through one more thing and then we're gonna get into some proper application of this stuff and a little bit of rolling. The reason I come up with the guard passing concepts of passing the legs, of the balance, the post, posture and leverage was because I'd worked that out from working my guard. I knew that with my guard, if I took away their post, their ability to post, if I had their weight or their leverage, if I had their posture or their weight and I had a leverage point, I'd sweep them no matter where they were. So I'd play around, I'd go into weird positions all the time and just sweep heaps of people. I was a white belt and I was sweeping blue, purple, brown, black belts through really unorthodox techniques. And I remember like people would always say to me like oh, you know, you shouldn't do that because it's not right. But I'd be like, but it worked on you. Like, it didn't make sense because people didn't like it because it wasn't a technique they'd seen. But I just followed those fundamentals and made it happen. So I got very comfortable at all different spots. So I'd find different techniques, different sweeps all the time. But I didn't really think of them as techniques. I just thought of them as movements, you know what I mean, governed by those rules. So then I reversed that in passing. I thought, okay, so what is balance? Oh, this is having the ability to post out really well, making sure that I control my weight, and he never has leverage. So that's pretty much the way I played it. What we're going to do is grab a drink of water real quick. If you're thirsty, grab a drink of water. I'm going to come and do a little bit of specific training. All right, guys, jump around. Who made me sweat my own sweat? Oh. So I was having a look. I had a roll with a couple of years then. I can't roll much, like I said. I had knee surgery, full reconstruction 3 months ago, but I try and do what I can do. And the thing I beat every single person with was just I consolidated before I passed the legs. So you've got to get in your head that the last thing you ever want is someone to consolidate. Even when they're in the legs, don't let them consolidate on their terms. If you want to hold them close because you've got superior like grips and legs, that's cool. That's a different situation. But don't let them do it before you have that. Because most likely they're going to have something up their sleeve. So it's really important. Can I borrow for a sec, please? Really important. When I'm working my guard and he's trying to pass, I never let him get good grips with this stuff. I'm always keeping him off. Okay, and then when I want to go under, I go under. So he keeps trying to pass, I do what I want, I go right under here. Now I'm in a much better position. I'm right underneath him. Let's go back again. At the moment, what was happening, you guys were sort of sitting here playing with this too much, and you're letting me get underhooks and stuff, and forgetting what I said earlier. And then by the time you realized I was going to pass, it was too late. I can't get him off. So you just got to have that in the head. Don't let them consolidate on it, especially no-gi. It's so important. No-gi is even more important. When he's trying to pass a no-gi, I'm always trying to keep him off. I don't care when my legs up, but I'm trying to keep him off. I never want him to get an over-under. See, for the gi, it's easier. For the gi, he can hold my gi and he can hold it to me. He can pass like that here, but when it's no-gi, he can't do that. So his only option is like a cross-face or an over-under, or like, you know, a double unders. So I never want him to get chest to chest on me, unless I decide that. Unless for some reason, I've got like, he's on his knees and we're working butterfly cut and I've got a strong position, a real strong angle here. Now I want him on me because his right hook is going to flick him that way. You know, he's going to keep that arm back because he knows that I want it. Because if I get a hold of it, I'm going to take him this way. You can see his weight goes that way. So I might know that. So I don't mind having him close to me now. But if he has, because if he has an underhook here, which is bad for him, obviously, this is good for me. But if he is able to get his weight on the other side of me, to here, this is terrible for me, isn't it? Why is that? How can I sweep him here? I can't. Even if I could sweep him that way, he's got this arm that can just base out straight away. He's got this, I can't come underneath to his back. I have to get him on this side again. But it's too late. He's here, I'm just gonna hold here like for ages, it's just gonna pass and I'm done. It's over. So make sure that you don't let someone consolidate on you. And when you're rolling with a black belt, don't worry about what I'm doing, still work on the same stuff. It's funny how the psychological part of this, I've rolled at some clubs, when I first got my black belt, I went to some clubs and I didn't have a black belt. So I just asked for one of the white belts to wear. And it was crazy how much more of a battle it would be to go against the colored belts. I'd go against a blue belt and they'd be rolling with me and trying to do their stuff and they'd be like, oh, it's not working. You know, I should beat him as a white belt. So they go harder and harder and they believe in themselves a lot more and it made it harder for me. And then as it went higher, purple, brown, black, they all did so much better because they weren't looking at the black. They weren't sitting there going, oh, he's a black belt, he should beat me and going half-assed and getting past. They were sitting there like, I should beat this guy. It didn't matter that it was me, they didn't know who I was. To them, I was just another white belt that was strong. So they were going crazy and it made it really hard for me. It was actually good practice. So just don't get sucked into when you've got someone, it doesn't matter who they are, whatever name they are, whatever rank, when you're rolling with them, concentrate on what you need to do. You know, don't worry about what they're going to do and stuff. Otherwise you get stuck in your head. You get stuck in your head, you start second guessing yourself, you lose matches in competition, you lose roles because you're not active. Any sport or art that is segregated by colours and divisions, you always have the same thing. In football, we'd have, always played for Sylvan Footy Club in the VFL, Victorian Football League, which was the Yarra Valley Division 1, and we had 6 AFL players playing for us. And anyone that went on those players were like, oh, he's AFL, he's going to beat me. And they would just drop, they'd fall really quickly because they're just not confident, because it's like, oh, he's AFL, oh, he's played VFL, he's Division 1, you know, how am I going to be able to beat him? And they lose the battle before it starts. Same thing happens in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes I've gone against guys I knew that were really good, but they knew that I was good and they thought that I was better. So I'd go out there and I'd be like, this wasn't even hard because he just lost before it even started. So for competition aspects, don't think like that. It's just a colour. Some people grade for some reason, some people don't. You know what I mean? I had students that went to brown belt because they were really good competitors. I had some students went to brown belt because they had knowledge of the sport or the art, but they weren't very good at applying it. You know, everything's different. So just try not to get stuck in that phase. That's just for everyone, their own individual development. It's not a guide of who should be beating who or not. You know, I've been tapped out by my own students. I've been tapped out by purple belts, blue belts, white belts. I nearly got passed out when I was rolling a white belt one time because I mounted him and he had a cross collar choke on me, and I was thinking it's so silly, I'm just going to armbar him. And then I had to tap and everything went real slow because I was like, oh, boom. And I was like, zzz. I was sitting there like, oh my God, and they went out. So it doesn't matter who it is, you know what I mean? Just don't get stuck in that mindset of things. Any other questions?
The whole structured learning, are you still a fan of it, or you just threw it out the window years ago?
I threw it out the window. Look, I can understand its purpose, and for some people come to do the art and they don't, like I said, they don't want to think. They just want to do it. They want to get the techniques from the instructor and just do it. It might be whether it's fitness, whether they want to go the competition route and they want to become a massive athlete and just win gold medals. You can do that. Both work. But the problem is, one will turn you into an athlete. There's a guy that knows jiu-jitsu moves. The other one will turn you into someone that's an artist that understands jiu-jitsu. There's a difference between reciting 100 techniques and understanding jiu-jitsu. A massive difference. It's like someone that knows how to dance, has a whole heap of dance routines. You put on certain songs and they can just do their one dance routine. But if you put on a song that they don't recognize, they can't feel the music. And then some people can just feel the music. You can play any song and they can just move to it. They can innovate. Same thing in guitar. I play guitar, right? And I don't understand guitar at all. All I do is I mimic other people's songs. So it sounds like I do to someone else. Like, oh man, he's amazing, he's playing that one song. But can I go anywhere past that? No. I can't innovate, I can't create my own music. I don't understand much about a guitar at all. I wouldn't be able to tell you what a scale is. So I don't understand it because I took what someone else had already done and I just repeated it over and over again. I use repetition to learn that. Most people do that with jiu-jitsu. They take what someone else's techniques are using, they repeat it until it becomes, muscle memory, and then they become a man of techniques. If they're lucky, they'll realize it one day and they'll stop doing that and they'll try and break their own structure down and free themselves up. If they're unlucky, they keep doing that, in my opinion. But like I said, it doesn't mean they're not going to win competitions. There's a lot of world champion black belts that train that way that win competitions. But they most likely have to be extremely fit, on steroids, and training with world-class guys all the time. So you can win medals, but if you've ever won a lot of medals, you realize medals mean nothing. They really do. You've forgotten next year you win a world championship. I won 2 world championships. I won a world championship blue belt. I won a world pro purple belt. I got silver, brown belt. I might multiple competitions, but none of them mean anything to me. I don't even have the medals on me anymore. I think they're in a basket somewhere, but it doesn't really bother me. It was the journey. It was everything what I learned in that and what I used that and translated it into other areas of life. Like I do acting now, and I use a lot of the philosophies and concepts that I come up with in jiu-jitsu in acting. And to say I come up with it is sort of wrong too, because there's people that come up with it years before me. Bruce Lee used to do the exact same thing. Who's read The Art of War? Sun Tzu, the exact same thing. There's all psychological warfare, there's all that kind of stuff. They discovered that years and before, and there's people that discover it. Problem is, most people that discover it don't know how to articulate it, or they don't take the time to, because it is difficult. Even for this seminar today that I did today, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, what am I going to teach? Because it's so vague. You know, how do you give someone an idea or something to change? Because there's no structure to it. So I hope that you guys ask the right questions and I can give you the right answers. You know what I mean? But this is what, you take this, you internalize the ideas, the concepts, the philosophies, the laws of jiu-jitsu, and then you come up with your own expression of it. Rather than me giving you 5 techniques, and maybe one of them will be applicable to your game, and you take that. You can do it online. You want techniques? Go on YouTube. You'll find thousands of them. Or ask your instructors. I'm sure they'll give it to you. But I'm telling you, it's by far the insuperior route. Now people ask me, like, what's your favorite technique? And I'm like, I have no idea. I couldn't even, if someone said, what's your top 10 favorite? I couldn't even think of one. I just go with what I see in the moment. And I want to make stuff up. I don't want to use the same thing over again. I'm more excited when I get like some kind of funny underhook on someone they didn't see it coming, where I can confuse him. That's what gets me excited, rather than just nailing some submission and stuff. I don't really care too much about the submissions. I find the beauty in the art in other areas. So for me, I found much more value in becoming an artist and an innovator, rather than just an athlete in the sport. Will I compete again? Yes, I will compete again. But I do it because I like to battle my own demons. I like to compete and to push myself, because it's nerve-wracking. Who's competed here? You know, it's nerve-wracking. The first time I competed at the World Championships is in Abu Dhabi, and there was about 10,000 people there, and I was so nervous. And there was a guy, I don't know if you remember a guy called Big Mick. He was a big black belt. He was about 6'6". He was like the best in Australia back then. He said to me, he's like, "Kid, don't take this the wrong way." Because no one cares if you win or lose. And I didn't understand what he said at the time, but it made sense afterwards, because it was true. No one did care whether I won or lost. People were there to watch good fights or to win themselves. You know what I mean? And instructors, yes, they want their students to win, but it's only because they want their students to feel good about what they're doing. You know what I mean? If their students are happy to lose, they'll be happy as well. Only an egotistical instructor would want their students to win for their own purposes, for their own name and stuff like that, or it's a business sense. You know what I mean? But really, it's what you want to get out of it. That's the most important thing. That's why I prefer to teach this way, because you decide. You can leave this and just say, okay, that was cool, that was fun, but I'm just going to go do whatever you want and do that. But if you did get something out of it and you do enjoy this style and you want to really like use this, I advise you just to understand it. Get the online DVD or the download when it comes out. I'll give it to you guys for free that's been here. Watch it, learn it, start expressing your stuff, start teaching this way, and start using it to apply to different areas of the game. That's how you're going to become an artist, rather than just someone that practices the same moves over and over again, because they will never translate anywhere. You're never going to use a half guard escape in accounting or something like that. You know, it was a joke no one actually laughed at, so can we cut that one back?
Sorry.
No.
To go on, I get that. I get your philosophy on jiu-jitsu, and I like it because I struggle to learn. That's a long time to done. But how do you drill that? Or how do you train the brain to that?
You internalize it. So it's just like memory. The memory works by repeating a sequence over and over again. Now, I know there's no physical way to drill it, but you just keep practicing. Everything you do should be based on those concepts, based on those ideas. And what happens is you slowly internalize those ideas. Like everything, it's like when you drive a car. When you first drive a car, you think, okay, I've got to keep it in the middle of the road. I've got to, there's no technique because the road's bent. So you've got to adapt to it. I can keep it in the middle of the road. I've got to accelerate. I've got to brake to slow down. The same sort of thing happens. So at the moment you're going to be rolling, you're like, okay, I've got to think of this. And you're going to get swept and smashed and it's going to be annoying. But slowly it'll start sticking. And then you internalize that. Then that becomes second nature. So now when you're driving a car, you don't need to think about, oh, it's going left, I've got to slowly steer left. You just do it. You can drive for 25 minutes and think, oh, how the hell did I get here? I couldn't even remember. Because you're thinking about other stuff. The same thing happens in jiu-jitsu. I'll be rolling with someone, I'll be, oh, how did I get here? I don't know, I just did it. You know what I mean? It's better if you remember, because then you can start looking at mistakes. The only things I remember is when it didn't go right. You know what I mean? I don't really care too much when it did go right. It's cool. It's when it didn't go right that I think, okay, why didn't it go right? And there's always a reason. So you internalize that, and then you go to the next step, and you internalize the next thing, and then the next step. And then eventually you become, like, everything becomes subconscious, all those things. So then you can just learn more stuff. And the thing is it's a complete different memory to what techniques are. Techniques is procedural memory. So it's stored in the cerebellum, I believe, where declarative memory is something you remember. That's stored in the hippocampus, which is completely different. So you're looking at muscle memory that you can never think of. Muscle memory just happens, and the declarative memory. So what happens is the more information you have stored on something, the easier it is to learn new information. That's why today, for most of you, it's probably like really hard to absorb this. But if you had already ingrained a little bit of this kind of stuff, it'd be easier to get more and more. And then you can start watching stuff and you can learn stuff. So when I look at someone rolling, I can start picking them apart straight away, predicting their game, because you see sequences, patterns and stuff. But it's only because I've been doing this for a while. So at the moment, like I said, it seemed a little bit phasey and it'll be hard for you guys, but the more you practice it, the easier it's going to get. And then you see it. And that's my students all said the same thing. And that was after I left that my students said, because I had a school for about a year, and one of my students, Phil, said, he goes, Kit, he goes, you're right. He goes, I see it all now. He goes, everything's clear. And he goes, everything I thought before that, because he was a high repetition driller, he goes, was wrong. And it's not it was wrong, but to him, it's wrong the way he wanted to do it. He goes, now it all makes sense. But it took a little bit to click. So it does. Like I said, you got to sort of pull everything back. Bruce Lee used to say that. You don't, like when you're making a beautiful sculpture, you don't add to it. You cut back what's it called? Unnecessary parts of it. I forget what the word is, but.
Do you, back to the competition side of things, do you research your competitors?
No, well, you don't need to research your competitors because the competition pool's so small. You kind of know who people are by the time. So I don't sit there and study their games. I try not to get stuck into what they're going to do, and it's because sometimes it gets you stuck in your own head, and it made me a lot more nervous watching people that I had to fight than what I did just going out there. I don't like dealing with nerves. Nerves ruins everything. And so the more I would like watch an opponent, the more I'd be like, oh shit, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens? And then I'd be like more nervous and I wouldn't compete as well. So I concentrate on going out there and just being confident that I would make the right decision in the right time. You know, whatever happened, I was going to do the best I could in my ability. And I was lucky because I had a career where I only lost 16 fights in my whole career. There's over 350 wins, I think.
Is there any standout guys out there that are just absolute freaks?
Yeah, there's some unbelievable freaks out there. You look at Leandro Lowe's amazing, Philippe Pena's amazing. He's winning almost everything at the moment. There's some really good athletes. There's like Andre Galval's amazing athlete. Yuri Simo's amazing athlete.
Where and when are the big jiu-jitsu competitions that you go and
Okay, so the big in Melbourne, to go and watch in Melbourne, you mean? Or world? The biggest competition is the Mundials, which is in Los Angeles, which is in, I think it's this weekend coming, I think it is. Yeah, so it might be a little bit late to go there. There's a few of my friends, a lot of friends are competing in that. That's held in Long Island in the Big Pyramid, which is awesome. You also got the ADCC, which is no-gi grappling, which is like a combination of wrestling, submission grappling, catch wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and that is held every second year, but I don't think they do it in Australia anymore. I think you got to qualify in Beijing, I think it was, or China or something like that. And they pay pretty good money, I think. I think it's like 10 grand for a division, 50 grand for the absolute, I think it was. Any other questions?
Is that the worst injury you've had?
Yeah, which is what you see. I think you can see my cut here. I had that cut there, another cut here. So I had to get like some of my hamstring removed and then drilled through both bones here and reattached, and then another ligament, artificial ligament put here. And you don't want that crap because it takes a year to recover from. I've injured myself a lot in jiu-jitsu. Before I was fighting in London against Victor Silveira, and Victor Silveira had just come off winning the Rio Open weight and absolute division, and I had to fight him. And I was training with there's a girl, Michelle Nicolini, who was running London Fight Factory, and I was there, and there was a big wrestler guy there, and I said I want to train with him because I'm going to compete on the weekend. She goes, "You sure you want to train with him? Why don't you get someone light?" And me being an idiot, I said, "Don't worry, the bigger guys are easy for me." And then he had me in a single leg, and he went to he had my single leg up, so I'm like bouncing around, and he went to like clean the other leg and take me down. But instead of cleaning, what happened is I was bouncing here. His foot just hit my foot, and this flat of it went to the ground like this, while my foot was still like that. So it just folded right over. So like I tore that 3 days before my match there. But it actually didn't bother me because the adrenaline sort of kicked in. I didn't really feel it, and Victor didn't go for it, which was nice of him. I ripped my toe before the Worlds one time. I broke my hand, I broke my thumb, broke toes. I got one time someone kicked me in the eyeball when I was rolling. I was rolling with someone else and someone kicked me right in the eyeball. I didn't know what happened. I thought I got hit in the face by the devil or something. I was like sitting there and I'm rolling and this smack, I was like, ah! And I remember like his toenail got me right in the eye. It looks horrible. So I had an injury of that, but I've never had anything like a knee reconstruction. When I did my knee, because I was playing football and I hurt my knee, and I stopped playing footy 7 years ago after I hurt my knee. I took 6 months off, and that was when I just started doing jiu-jitsu. And I took 6 months off. I didn't get any like proper check on it, and I thought that it was right because the muscles healed around it. And it wasn't until this year that I started playing football again that I just went to pivot. And literally, it was like me and him were playing. There was like, what, 10 seconds to go, and I had the ball. This guy's coming in. I went to dodge and handball, and just that, and the whole thing just gave way on me. And I hit the ground. I was like, oh, what is going on there? And for 9 weeks, I was trying to get back into the game. And even the week later, I had to do a fight scene for a movie. And the director's like, can you do these kicks for me? I was like, yeah, no worries. So I did this big jumping kick and I landed on my knee and just collapsed. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, are you right? And I was just so embarrassed. And I was like, so sore. So I did the fight scene and then I kept trying to come back. And then it wasn't until 9 weeks later that my mate said, look, get an MRI, because he's feeling my leg. And he's like, there's a lot of movement there. Get an MRI just to make sure. Because I thought I was going to get the all clear to come back to football. And I got the MRI and the doctor looked at me. He goes, and you've been walking on this? I said, I've been running around on it. He goes, mate, your knee is, he goes, it's gone. He goes, you need a full reconstruction and yeah, it's not good. So I had to get, this ligament here was torn, this ligament here was torn, the MCL, the LCL, the PCL was torn, the ACL was completely snapped, and the meniscus that sits in there between your knee joints that's nice and soft was split in half. So I had to get most of that removed. But it happens. It was a blessing in disguise because it's what forced me to go into acting, and then I got some good roles in acting, which I love doing now as well. So, you know, there's a silver lining to everything. But now I'm going through the process of getting back into competing again. This is the first time I've rolled in months. Just this little thing. It makes me happy just being able to do that, which is cool. Because it was for like 4 weeks I couldn't even get out of bed. I'd have to sit there and ice it every 10 seconds. It was horrible. So I don't advise anyone ever doing the knee.
Thank you for his time.
No, thank you. Thank you. Oh.